Hey guys, what's up? It's Marie with Swipe in the City. Welcome back, New Year, same shit show. Sorry, Mom. No, really though, we're super excited about today and about 2021. Today is actually not the New Year yet, but we are on New Year's Eve. So super stoked to kick off something fucking different this year. But still here with my same amazing co-host, Michelle.
What's up, y'all? I'm not quite in the new year, new me spirit yet. It's been a weird couple of weeks and it's been like a stressful couple of weeks. But that being said, by the time this is released, I will be on my new like workout plan. I will have stopped drinking. Never. Whatever other resolutions everyone makes and sticks to for like 15 minutes, by the time this is released, I'll have already quit those. So that's where we're gonna be next week.
I love that for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm proud of me. me, proud of you.
You're doing amazing, sweetie. We're all just doing the best we can.
Do you want to introduce our guest?
You're taking the words right out of my mouth. Come on. So today, guys, we are here with Gieselle, who's one of my besties from back in the GoDaddy days. And just, felt like she had all the right fucking New Year positive energy for this episode. So Gieselle, you want to like say a couple of things about yourself?
Definitely have been started early on that whole workout thing. Don't know about the not drinking thing yet, but I've cut back a lot. But no, I mean, I think this year has just been very hard for everybody. And just like this whole last week, things have been like going up, up, up. And I think I'm just like looking forward to the new year. And I'm hoping like right at midnight, there's just like a wave of like great things that happen to people. So definitely looking forward to it. I'm definitely in the mood to get this shit year over with.
Yes.
Don't apologize. Have you listened to our podcast?
Yes.
It's basically me.
So the reason I said my niece is right over there.
Oh.
Oh yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, or if you're not watching this online, you can probably see it online, but we are recording over Zoom. Just trying to take as many precautions as we can here, because I don't know about y'all, but I'd rather not go into 2021 with like a shit ton of anxiety. So
yeah,
as we say, here we are.
Or as we sometimes say, here am I. Here am I.
That's when we've had too many beers.
Is what you're drinking tonight beer?
I was going to say we are not drinking beer tonight because in the spirit of New Year's parties, I personally am drinking a lovely La Marca Prosecco, a little bit of bubbles here.
Oh, I missed the memo on the La Marca.
You are what is Wine Cube, Michelle?
So Wine Cube, this is the rosé bubbles that I got in my Christmas stocking.
From Mom?
From Santa. No, from Scottish Santa Lindsay.
Love it.
We were both solo in Austin for Christmas, so she was my holiday. And
I love that.
We did a little stocking exchange and like a nice dinner, and it was good. It was different, but it was really nice to just have kind of like a partner to spend the day with.
That's so cute. I love that. I didn't know you guys gave each other stockings. I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah, that was my first year doing a stocking this year. Also, I was just sitting here. My sister's like, "You need a stocking." It's the day before, and I'm like, "So you want me to run to the crazy store to get a stocking?" She's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "The madhouse, freaking angry babies crying," or they probably weren't angry, but to me, they're just all angry.
Yeah.
or maybe I'm just angry at them. No babies.
That sounds about right. But it all turned out all right.
Yeah, I got this cup in my stocking. That is
lovely.
Prosecco. I got this book in my stocking. I got wine also, and like face masks, of course.
All right. All the good shit.
All the good shit.
I felt super bad. Well, like, so my mom does our stockings every year, and like, so I never think twice about it.
Mm-hmm.
And she usually puts shit in her own stocking. This year she didn't. And
Oh,
I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm so confused. And she was like, yeah, I just didn't really feel like it. And like, I don't really want anything. And then we watched that movie, like Bad Moms Christmas, that Michelle, you were telling me about. And the one mom didn't have anything in her stocking. And she was like, oh, it's a mom thing. And I was like, we all
but
just
it.
like, we died. Like, we died. I felt horrible.
That's so funny. So like, yeah, no, growing up, I always did Christmas Eve at my dad's house. And so I know that I think him and my stepmom like rotated who did stockings. But like, yeah, you always felt all of them. Like
Well, right, because otherwise you know that Santa forgot somebody, and like I know that my mom isn't getting coal. Like
anyone in that household, your mom is not the most naughty.
she would feel really happy to know that, and also would probably scream and say like, "No." like don't say that. I don't want to think that about everybody else. And then
She did
she
get
blamed
pizza
Mark as
though.
being the most naughty, my stepdad.
The pizza. Oh, Marie, you should talk about the pizza because that was like a
So you
pretty
got your
big
mom.
deal.
It was
Oh.
amazing. I love the video.
oh my god, it was like as much of a gift to my parents as it was for me. Like I loved it. But so my brother and I, like knowing that my parents have been fully quarantined this whole, fucking however many months it's been now. We decided that they needed like a fun date idea. And so we were going to lock them in a room without the TV and make them dinner. And then I noticed one of my friends, like old friend from Chicago, who's also left Chicago, posted something, and she'd had a company deliver Portillo's hot dogs for her, which to those of you who aren't from Chicago, like Portillo's is a big fucking deal. And I was like, oh my God, I texted my brother right away and I was like, we should do something like this. And he was like, yeah, we started looking at the website, didn't really work out in terms of like the amount of stuff that they wanted to ship. And he's like, and honestly, I think they'd prefer Giordano's anyways, deep dish pizza. And so we had Giordano's deep dish pizza shipped to my parents. My stepdad accidentally answered the door, so he knew about it. But I got a video of like my mom's reaction seeing it, and she was like, it was just priceless. Like it was like I'd gotten her a car or something. Like it was hilarious. But it made me really happy and it made them really happy. So it was just like it was one of those things that like, it wasn't the most expensive thing to do in the world, but like I feel like it was really meaningful. Not to get
So the
all
whole
start us off
locking
all
them in the room.
cheesy here, like literally.
So the whole locking them in the room, how did that go? That sounds a lot crazier than it actually is. Like we locked them in the room for hours. We're like scratching at the door like a
cat. So we didn't actually end up like we were gonna lock them in what we call the tiny living room, which like to normal people is a front room. And that way they could have a date without watching TV. But my mom found a channel earlier that afternoon where they were playing like all of the family vacation movies. And that's my mother's like that is my mom. The family vacation movies are to my mom what Harry Potter is to me. And so like it was a big deal. And vacation was on at 7:00, or no, Christmas Vacation was on at 7:00. So I couldn't just tell her she couldn't watch her favorite Christmas movie of all time. So they didn't get locked in a room.
I feel like the execution, well, it's like gymnastics, right? There's never a 10 out of 10, but like because of the movie stitch, but I think the execution was still at least a 9 out of 10.
It was definitely worth it. And we all got to eat the pizza together. She's like, I mean, I want you guys to enjoy it too. Like you're my kids and we love you. It was very wholesome.
Very wholesome. That's amazing.
Yeah. Any other highlights? What did you and your family do, Gieselle? You're staying with your
What is
sister? Other than
Yeah,
stuffing
so well,
stockings.
we got together. We had everyone come down. There was a mess. There's a bunch of presents. We made ham. We cooked a lot of food. We had like over two hams, a turkey. All of it was gone. I have a big family, so you can imagine like the amount of children. Which also, I was like, I'm not buying every child. I don't know all of them that well. This is the first. Okay, so for the record, this is the first Christmas I've spent with my siblings and my family in years. I don't do it
Whoa.
for a reason because it'll hurt my wallet with all the children that they have. I did it this year, but I was like, I don't know you and I don't know you. You're not getting one. All my siblings got one. And my mom, I was like, I'm a baller on a budget. I have over 23 nieces and nephews. I ain't going broke.
Oh my God.
I know. Yeah. They're really good birth control. Just letting y'all know.
That's like my family. I feel like the gatherings kind of changed, or maybe I just like a few years ago when I was like in a serious relationship, I had to like split my holiday time, so I stopped going. But like my mom came from a family of 12 siblings,
Mhm.
and on average, each one had or has between one to six children. So I literally have, I think at this point I actually have cousins that I haven't met now. And because they're like the age gap is also so broad. Like my mom is the
Yeah.
second oldest. And then my uncle, my youngest uncle, who I was like closest to growing up, is 3 years older than me. So like we grew up as like siblings basically. And so it's just like when you talk about like that kind of Christmas, I get it, because it's like
Yeah.
there are literally, you're like looking around. It's like not like Minions. I've never even seen the Minions movie, but I've seen enough Minions memes where it's just all these little like things going like beep, 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 just like
Banana.
surrounding.
Banana. Yeah, we don't include anyone like cousins or aunts, because it's just like my dad had over 14 brothers and sisters, my mom had over 10, and so if we start getting to them and all their kids, we're
Oh,
just
it's
like,
insane.
no. Yeah, so we just
Yeah.
keep it to the immediate family. Even then, that's a lot, and I'm just like, a lot of people, but we had a good time. Me and my sister did some pranks. I had
Nice.
this air horn, so we would sneak up on people and like scare them. And then we had a bonfire, and we were like going. Me and my sister's like, we should add. And I was like, I got the camera. And she's like, we have black cats, and we're like, we need to add some more sticks to the fire. And we throw a handful of black cats into the fire, and we like walk back. And it just starts exploding, and everyone's running because they don't know what's going on. They're like, "What
Oh
kind of
my
stick is
God.
that?" It's a lot of fun.
My heart just went like I would not like that personally, but I'm glad that's something that brought you joy.
I know that feels right
Anyway,
for you.
yeah, our whole family's just a bunch of pranksters. It was a lot of fun and a lot of alcohol.
I love it. I love it. Well,
Mhm.
on that fun note, should we jump into this here?
Let's do it.
Mhm.
So I mean, and for you guys personally, so we asked who's ready for 2021, and 57% of people said yes, and 43 said no, which I feel like is there, or 50, or the lower 40 whatever said I'm scared, which is totally valid. Where do you guys stand on that? I'm curious.
I'm ready for it. I mean, I think this year has been kind of crazy. But all in all, I think there's been a lot of things that we can take from it, and people are idiots. That's one thing I took from this year. But so just basically, like, I don't know, just cutting out the idiots and then just growing from what I learned this year. Like, obviously, everyone was going through a bunch and lost like jobs, money, this and that, and just taking what I can and rolling with it. And I feel like just being able to have that platform to be like, okay, I'm down here, and then just work my way up. I'm just totally ready to get on with it. Do the damn thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, I know this year's been hard, but like if you're scared going into the new year, like what,
You're gonna,
like
there's just, it's
it's a
gonna go down.
cycle. It's then
Mm-hmm.
this next year is just going to be like just as bad, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited, more hopeful.
I
Yeah.
think for me it's really interesting because the timing of it, like, so essentially I moved to Austin the end, basically November of the year before. So I was here for like 2 months before the last New Year. I've gone through like, and we'll get more into it like later, but like I've gone through so many like transitional moments in like work, life, living in the last like 18 months that it's kind of crazy. But for me, I feel like I've built up to having some like really cool like ideas and projects and work wins, and like I'm just really stoked to get into this like next phase. And it's like it's not even necessarily that it's that we're changing years, but like working in sales for like changing quarters. So it kind of is. But I feel like I'm, despite like the chaos that 2020 was for me, like I feel like I'm coming out of a very like transitional point into starting to not settle in, but like, okay, I've hit this, the rockiness of these transitions has like flattened a little bit, and now I can like push and grow more. And maybe that's just this like rosé bubbles talking, because that's like more positive than I've been in the last like 7 days. But but when I really take a step back and look at it, like there's just been so, for me, like I did get a lot of positive things out of 2020, and I'm just like excited to like grow those things, to build on those things. And I also feel like, sure, we all have to tread with caution on everything, but like, fuck, man, like the people who are shitting on people who are being like excited or setting goals or being positive for the new year, it's like, no, that's what we need to like move forward.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I'm totally with you. It was like I was having a deep conversation about religion with my family. And I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but basically my brother's atheist. My mom we're Lutheran. Then my stepdad's Jewish, but like, we're like, at the end of the day, like, it's really like people have their religion and their religious things as a way to give themselves hope. And like, it's something that helps them to cope with like the bullshit that is everyday life. Right. And so I feel like that applies to, any other time where it's like, yes, like we are still going to go and like make resolutions, because like there's a lot of stuff that we can't control right now. But there are some things that we can, and I think it's really important for like people to focus on that.
I also feel like, even though there's a lot around like, well, just because it's like a new year, blah, blah, blah. But like, if mentally for you, that is like a fresh start, and that allows you to like, I mean, I worked in the fitness world as a trainer, right? And for most people, committing to like wrapping their brain around starting on a Monday, well, yeah, it doesn't always work. Like that is easier to commit your brain to and to start with and to do than being like, oh, it's Thursday, but then it's like, I'll be 2 days in and then the weekend. And I think like resolutions, I think as a whole, I think the term has been kind of like convoluted, but I think just being like, hey, like this is a fresh start. Like I went and bought a new notebook. Gieselle has a new notebook. Marie got her bullet
journaling all day.
No, but it's so important to like get everything you want to do or need to get out, like out of your brain, and then like create a plan. If your plan gets fucked up 2 weeks into the new year, okay, you create a new plan, you adapt.
Yes. And then like, even if you're not just creating plans, but you're getting those affirmations that like, even when you're just having that negative thought, you can go back to your affirmations and then you're like, this is right. Like, where was I? And read through where you were during that day in that mindset, and just kind of refocus where you're at. That way you can look forward to what you do need to do. And I just love keeping my journal and like having everything written out in front of me, because then I can kind of see where I'm going. And it's just, it keeps me on track and like keeps me really out of my head where all the negative thoughts do seem to come, and being like, no, this is what I thought here. This is super positive and I need to stick to that.
Yeah, totally. Gieselle, the notebook that you had last year too, that like broke everything down, like a weekly affirmation, a weekly goal. Like to me, it's so hard for me to wrap my mind around like a big goal, right? Like it's a lot easier to think about like, okay, well, like this week I want to work out this many days, or like this week I don't want to be hungover. Like, you know what I mean? It's so much easier to break it down into like a small goal like that. And I feel like it's so much more attainable. Whereas
Yeah.
like when you say like, oh, okay, going into 2021, I want to lose all my quarantine weight. I don't even know what that number is. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just, they're both concrete, but one of them is like a little bit mentally easier for a lot of people, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's like the baby steps. There's a lot more
Exactly.
easier something. Yeah. Agreed.
I think
Yeah.
Love it.
there's also something really important with like writing things down and like putting things out in the world. And honestly, if for some people that like putting something out on social media is like how they do that, I respect it. I love that for them. Like but there's something about just like getting it out of your brain and out into the world that I think does give you just that sense of like, no, like I said, I'm going to do this. I want to work towards this.
Accountability.
Yeah. I mean, the accountability. I mean, I was thinking, I was like, oh, like if you work with a therapist, but then if your therapist goes to the post office during your session.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
So one of the things I will be doing in 2021 is probably finding a new one. In my
Poor Karen.
in my head, I was like, this is fine. And then I was like,
It's not fine.
like she literally put me on hold to go to the post office. I was like, this is not fine.
I mean,
Moving
I feel like with therapy, like you want to feel like that person is invested because like that's why you're paying them, but you know, whatever.
Or at least paying attention to what you're saying. Like, I don't know.
Clean your parents, whatever.
So it was the first, it was like positive, was it positive things from 2020? Oh no, it was ready for 2021. So I think we're all on the same page. Like, hell
So
yeah.
one thing I do want to say, one thing that I did is I get a dry erase board.
Yes.
And or sticky notes and stick them in your mirror. Put all your positive affirmations on there, like your favorite quote, your favorite positive like motto, like things on there, just to make sure like you write it. You can constantly change it. Put your like not major goals, but like obviously we have our short-term goals, but like our medium goals on there. And like just random things that you can write on the dry erase board, like they're in your notebook as well. But that way when you're getting ready in the morning, they're like by your mirror. Or there's something like something that like sticks with you that you want to read every day. That way it's like in your face and not just in your book.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of like studies that show about like actually being able to visualize and see like these things that are going to help you to actually get there.
Yeah. I have
so I'm with you.
all over my mirror, on my door. And it's like, the thing is, it's like, because I get ready in my mirror and it's like, I look at that and reading it. And it's like the constant like affirmation and like reminding myself like, okay, you can do this.
Yeah, I have a bulletin board above my desk. And then I write down like all my goals and stuff. I like checking things off and then seeing the list of things with a bunch of things checked off. It gives me like a sense of satisfaction. So I run with that.
This is so funny. So like I actually just bought a calendar, like a wall calendar, so that I could, for me, like one of my biggest things is I haven't been like as consistent as I want with like going to the gym. So I bought just a calendar where I can like track and like put on, okay, I do cardio Monday, Wednesday, and then I can give myself like a star or circle it or whatever it is. Because like I haven't had that like visual reminder. And for me, apps just don't keep me motivated. Like I need something on a wall or on paper or like someone yelling at me.
Yes.
And it sounds like you guys are all like, y'all are the same. It sounds like you need that like physical something in your home.
Well, and think about it too, like apps are great. Like, and I love the way that like there are people like creating apps to like help you to be better, whatever that looks like for you. But for me, it's like you get so many notifications on your phone on a day-to-day basis that like when I was getting notifications to remind me to do certain like, mindset things, there was a point where it was like if I had a ton of other things going on or a bunch of messages, like it was just getting lost. And you can't lose something when you literally write it and put it on your mirror.
Yeah, and then
like you literally can't.
Yeah. And then not only that, like I don't know about you guys, but we take a lot of photos and use a bunch of apps for things. It takes up data also having those apps. And then once I start running low on data, that's the first app that I want to delete because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't look at it as often because I forget about it because I have all these other ones that I'm using so often. It gets pushed to the back and it's put on the back burner, which is not what I need. So post-it notes, having my notebook, everything written down is definitely the way to go for me.
Old school, man.
Mm-hmm.
Technology is great, but sometimes you just got to do it old school. Should we get into some funny stories, awkward stories from this year?
Oh, she's got her pen out. I am fucking ready for whatever Gieselle has to share. Let's start with our responses to the Insta story, though. So we put out on our story with kind of a short notice because it's 2020 and it's been a fucking week, y'all.
And that's who we are.
And it's the holiday season. Like everyone's asleep because they ate too much ham or turkey.
Or they're hungover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or they're both at the same time.
So we asked for funniest or most awkward dating stories. Marie, I think this one came through yours. Do you want to? Oh, do you want to read this one?
Yes. I love this. So I went on 2 Tinder dates with a guy and ended up ghosting him, only for him to later come to the coffee shop where I worked and accuse me of spitting in his coffee. I did not spit in his coffee, but said I would if he wanted for a bigger tip. He did not.
Oh my goodness.
I want to know more.
I want to know how she made it to date. I mean, he sounds like a jackass. So I want to know how she made it to date 2. And then just if you have more questions, I don't know that we can say who this is from because we said it'd be anonymous, but we'll reach out and talk to them because this came from another, our friends of ours who podcast. So we might be able to share more if they're willing to tell us, but
super funny though.
To be honest though, this is just this doesn't even shock me. Some of the things that make me tilt my head and be like, what do
Got
you
my list.
What do you mean? Why? How? I think for me what it is it's how do you get from something very basic to me essentially assaulting you, or spitting in your coffee is technically I don't know, it's something, but
and that's such a harsh accusation for anybody. I worked at a Starbucks for years. I worked at a Dairy Queen even longer. And I would personally just be so fucking offended if somebody, hi, Mr. Bubbles. Sorry for those of you who can't see, Mr. Bubbles has joined Gieselle, her little pupper. So I would be super offended if I were still working in service and somebody accused me of spitting in whatever it was that I was making for them. And then to add on to that, the fact that we have a fucking pandemic going on. I feel like that makes this just the world's biggest insult. Would you ever spit if you were dating somebody and they were kind of a jerk, would you ever spit in their coffee?
No. I don't know. There's just something about
sure.
No, I would probably do something else, but for legal reasons, I'm going to say I don't do that.
All right.
But
this is recording.
This is a recording. The freaking FBI watching me through my camera. No, I would not spit in them. Honestly, I just feel like spit's so nasty, and I feel like I could do better than spit and make it worse.
Yeah. Also you would see especially somebody working in a coffee shop, you can literally see the barista. You can watch them make your coffee.
Mm-hmm. The way where you go at Starbucks and you wait at the end is literally open to the whole line of where they're working. So there's no hiding that.
No.
It's pretty much fucking impossible.
Yeah.
And also it's even with oh my God, why did I watch this movie? It was kind of a date. I don't know. But so have y'all seen the movie? Well, when do I ever just watch movies?
That's true. Good point.
Have y'all seen the movie Waiting? Like
No.
waiting tables, waiting? Okay. Well, it's, I don't know, it's like maybe from the 2000s or the 90s or sometime in the last 25 years. I don't know. But it's like really, it's a really like fucked up depiction of like the restaurant industry. Not, I mean, it's not supposed to be, it's supposed to be funny, but like they like spit in drinks. They like put their body parts in food. Like it's a whole thing.
Oh.
Is it a documentary?
No.
I mean, I feel like the way you're describing it reminds me of that movie that came out about McDonald's.
I know the one when he ate McDonald's like every day for like a month.
That one.
No.
Super
But
sizing.
I will send you the link to this. This is actually groundbreaking for those of you who are listening or watching. This is the first time in the history of the world that I have made a movie reference that other people didn't get, because I watched like 1% of movies that everyone has seen.
That's true. You don't even know Mean Girls.
I mean, it's fine. I digress. So we weren't being asked for advice, but I would just avoid this guy at all costs if we were. This guy obviously has some issues. Yeah. So this next one, so one of my friends from Portland, who is a total fucking bomb, like it doesn't, not that I'm saying it matters, but she's like a total bombshell. She's a nurse. She's a badass. She's super fun. And so her response to this was during the pandemic, moving in with her boyfriend, only to break up and then see him posting pictures with his ex 2 weeks after they broke up and moved out of the apartment.
There's something going on.
Oof. I don't know that it's funny. It's definitely awkward, though.
That's awkward. That falls under awkward.
That is super
I know. I can't see how she thinks it's funny.
I don't think she thinks it's funny. I
hope someday she can laugh about it.
I would. It's like when you say, "Oh, isn't it funny that?" Because it's not funny, but you say, "Isn't it?" I find it funny how it's not really funny, but we're saying it's funny.
Yeah,
I get that kind of attitude from it.
Yeah, I just feel bad because so they had actually broken up. They had broken up and gone back together more than once. But yeah, I just feel bad because I think they moved like literally like a couple months ago. In like fully in together. And then I will say my assumption is that like he's posting pictures to be a fucking dickhead.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening. I don't know who broke up with who, but like back to the You Up podcast, because we haven't mentioned Jared Freed yet this episode.
Jared,
so
love us.
But like I was listening, like literally as I was driving to and from Florida, like I was just listening to like You Up and Let Me Finish. And so one of the episodes recently from You Up, they were talking, it was something along the lines of like, how long does it take like to get a like for somebody to get over a breakup? Like what's okay? And of course the answer is like whatever time you need, like everybody's different. But the person who'd written in was saying something along the lines of her now ex-boyfriend just moved, he broke up with her and then he moved on really quick, right? And Jared was like, of course, he's like, well, you know, if he broke up with you, he was probably already over, like he'd been thinking about it already. So that's the only explanation that I could think of for that. But I hope that your friend, like whatever happens, that she comes out way ahead of this fucking shit for brains. I'm sure. I mean, she's friends with you. But like, seriously, I hope like that. And then she can look back on this and it will be like a haha funny story. Cause she'll be like, oh yeah, like remember when I was upset over this? Like, oh my God, I can't believe that. I'm so much better now.
I
So
think she's
instead of a sarcastic one. Oh, no.
Yeah.
This is one of the challenges with like Zoom recording versus in-person recording. It's a little harder, but I was going to say I think she's going to miss his dog more than him, to be honest.
Ooh.
His dog was really cute, but
I could see that.
so let's move on to our other question, or one of our next questions.
Wait,
what am I missing?
What about awkward, funny stories for you guys?
Oh, Gieselle.
Duh.
No,
Duh.
okay. So I have like a spectrum of awkward and funny, but this one is freaking
Everything's
hilarious.
a spectrum.
It's a spectrum. It's like, how funny do we want to go? This one's whole first date, right? We were gonna go. Guy's like, yeah, just like I'll pick you. Or no, he's like, come to my place so you can drop your car off, and then we'll go in my car. We'll go to dinner and we'll go do this. I'm like, sounds good. We'll pregame, whatever. Go to his place, have a drink. This guy follows me. I'm so sorry. You know who you are. We get in his car, and immediately, like, you know how your phone syncs up to Bluetooth?
Mhm.
So he starts his car and turns up the radio. He's like, oh, let's get some music on. And it's, he's been watching porn right before I came over. And so he still had it on his phone because it was the last thing he had opened on his screen. And so started playing in the whole Bluetooth speaker. And I was like, and he's like, oh, that's a weird station. And he's like fidgeting with the radio, like uncontrollably. And is like slapping his phone. And I'm like, holding in like laughter, like so hard. I like bend down, like in the corner, laugh. And he's like, and then like finally, like Drake comes on, and he's like, okay, I don't know what station that was. I think someone must have been messing with my phone. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
okay. But I was like,
go ahead.
I was like holding him. I was so red and like crying in the corner like this, like looking out the window because I didn't want him to see me laughing. And like I caught a glimpse of him when he opened his phone. It was still the video going off.
Oh my God. What kind of porn was it? I have to know.
Anal.
What?
Anal.
Okay.
It explains why she was so loud.
Yeah.
But also, like, I mean, I understand how like first date that would be like that's a very awkward thing, but it's also just like
It's funny.
just like maybe just being like, oh, what station? Someone was messing with my phone. Like, yeah, someone hacked your phone and like played porn sounds from it. Like, what? You must be really fucking important, dude.
Oh my God.
He's been texting all day. He'd been by himself all day. And I'm like, that was the last thing on your screen, which means you were doing that right before I came over.
Well, and honestly, like that's kind of okay. Like let's think like, I don't know, kind of non-prude. Like maybe he was like jacking off before your date so that he didn't feel like he was going to pressure you too much, like at the end of the date.
Oh,
Or
so
he was
sweet.
just so excited to see you that he just had to get it off beforehand.
It was the worst. It was so funny. I was like dying. And then
So,
I don't know.
what happened? Like, how did
Did
the
we get a
date
second
go?
date?
Yeah, how did the date
Oh,
go
no.
from there?
It was a lot of fun. I feel like he had like some insecurity issues and was a little controlling, and like kind of weird and like was like, oh my God, now you're my girlfriend. And I'm like, okay, first of all, dude, chill. You watch porn. Right before I saw his kid. But no, it just got like a little bit, it just got a little too fast, too quick. And I already had told him, like, hey, I'm not looking for anything at all. This is fun. So, but it's just like, that's why I was like, nope.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And also, like, I feel like the insecurity shows too in the fact that he didn't even admit. Like, I feel like a guy who's super secure in himself is going to be like, oh, yeah, I might have been, finishing myself a little bit before this.
Or not even
Sorry.
said that, just would have laughed at it instead of blaming it on people hacking my phone.
Right. It's like, nobody believes you.
Hey, it is 2021. Like, you were watching porn. That's fucking fine. But
Everybody watches porn.
being
Yeah.
weird, being like weird about it is where it becomes like, oh, now it's now you're hiding something or you're insecure, or it's an issue. That's like, that's why I'm saying, like, I mean,
Because what else
obviously,
are you gonna hide and be insecure about?
right. And obviously, like on a first date, I wouldn't be like, hey, what's up? I'm Michelle. I like beer, dogs, and this type of porn.
Beer, dogs, and butt stuff porn.
But like if you're caught in the act, I don't know. I think it's a confidence thing, because I could see a guy who is a little more confident just being like, yeah, I was working from home today, got a little turned on with like knowing I was going to meet up with you and wanted to, I don't know.
Take care of it.
That is fucking hilarious.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a great story.
And the thing is, I have to see him at the gym all the time.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Does he have his headphones in?
Yeah, it's like the time. I'm like, it was so funny. He's from California.
Of course.
Of course. I keep getting the ones that just moved here. Good, they don't know my track history. Just kidding. Anyone watching, I'm just kidding.
Watching, listening.
This just turned into me roasting myself. And I will drink to that.
I love it. Cheers.
Cheers. That's literally why we have a podcast, right? Like literally, look how bad my nails are. Speaking of roasting.
Marie, what is your funniest or most awkward dating story of 2020?
Well, I think mine has to be when the guy broke my glasses.
Okay, but retell it in case people are just now discovering us, even though we're the number one podcast on Apple Podcasts.
Well, and I don't know that I've actually told the full story. I don't know, maybe I have. Whatever. Don't at me. But so I went out with this guy once on our second date. And he was a cool dude, like nothing against him if he for some reason listens to this. But he had just moved here and didn't have his own car, but had this event that he found / ended up being from his company. And it was a drive-in movie. And a few months ago, this was like back over the summer, so I didn't have my new car yet. And I was driving this teeny tiny Scion XA that, for those of you who know me, like I never fucking clean my car. Like it's a disgusting, like it was just horrible. I hated it. But so I cleaned my car literally for this date because I knew I had to drive. But again, this is a small car. And so we pull up, we're sitting in the drive-thru. It's the Goonies that we're watching. And he goes to pull that move where like, he didn't fake the yawn and try to put his arm around me, but he just like did the whole reach thing to go around me, except that we're in a Scion XA. And he ended up kind of like half punching me in the side of my face. Like obviously like not intentional, not aggressive, but like to a point where it was so hard that my glasses literally broke.
Like her glasses that she uses to see, to like,
yeah, like
things. Not sunglasses, like to drive.
Well, no, literally. And like, again, like those of you who don't know me, I am blind as a fucking bat. Like I'm wearing my contacts right now, but like my glasses are my life. Like these aren't ironic. These aren't like bifocal. These aren't just for driving. These are literally like my prescription is -5. I am blind. And so I'm like sitting there and I'm like, he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And like, he was, really like nice about it and everything, offered to pay for new ones and shit. But I was just like, I don't even know how I'm going to drive home at this point. Like, I can laugh about it now because I got the glasses fixed and also got a new pair. But that's definitely the most funny, awkward story I've got.
I remember seeing him had them kind of like jankily fixed for a while. And I was like, what?
I was like Harry Potter, except he's got his thing like right in the middle of his eyes, and mine was on the side. So it was like they were like completely sideways.
Like, this is fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Everything is fine. Everything's fine.
The world's on fire, but it's fine.
Yeah. I probably needed new glasses anyways. I realized I'd had them for a few years. So
I'm trying to think of like my most funny or awkward dating story.
I feel like you have a few, but I feel like
I have a few, but none that like stand out. So I think maybe I'll circle back if I think of one, unless you have one that comes. Like, I immediately thought of your glasses story.
I mean, I think of really where it's like funny because like you ended up like whatever the one where you were meeting Dad Bod and you were like fresh from the river.
Oh, my river rat
story.
Because it was multiple dates.
Yeah. I think that's funny, but like I also know we've already like talked about that.
I feel like we've talked through it multiple times, so I feel like we can come back to it. But otherwise, I feel like we should look at our next question, which is, what is one thing you've learned about yourself to take into 2021?
And I purposely framed this too so that it could be like beyond just dating. Like I know for me personally, like I feel like I've learned a lot about myself, both individually and like what I want in a relationship. But I was kind of pleased, I guess. I don't know. I thought that some of the responses were interesting. One of the ones I got to my personal was don't be satisfied with halfway, which I don't know. I think that's kind of important because I feel like, especially like going back to what we were saying about goals, it's like I'll be like, okay, like I wanted to work out 5 days this week, but I've only worked out 3, so it's fine. So like that kind of spoke to me.
Wait, you said because it was sorry, I was just double checking for other response. You said
as Gieselle takes notes.
The word don't be satisfied with halfway. I think this could be expanded, right? And for me, actually, this is something that you kind of hound me on, Marie. And it's like being a little bit more selfish with my time, which ties into like if someone is like fine, right? Which would be like halfway, right? If someone's like fine to hang out with or go on dates with, like, does it really make sense for me to use my time there or for them to even like use their time? we have a cat now. We have a dog, we have a cat. Blue's pouting on the couch. We're in a fight. I'm not sure why this time.
That's a relationship thing.
It might be because he got into the garbage earlier and I yelled at him.
Maybe.
No, I think that's interesting though. Like it does tie into I'm trying to be better at like looking at like how I spend my time and more importantly like who I give my time to. Mm-hmm. Because as like a psychosocial butterfly, I want to say yes to everything and give time to everything. But I feel like especially over the last year, I've learned like how to be almost like more disciplined with my time and with like my social circle and like what I'm doing, who I'm seeing, how I'm spending it. And then also just knowing like if someone is like entertaining enough, that doesn't necessarily mean that's someone you want to date, which I think ties back to this like don't be satisfied with halfway. Or if they're texting you back but they're not texting you first ever, like no, fuck off.
Or all they say when they text you back is, hey, how's your day going?
Good morning.
How's your day? What'd you eat today? How's your day?
What was your life?
Robot.
Oh my. Would that all just hit like a note with us? We're all like,
Well, I mean,
ah.
I feel like I have more, but I want to, like, Gieselle, what is one thing you've learned about yourself, dating or otherwise, to take into the next year?
Not really learned about I guess learned about myself just to like love myself and like distance myself from everybody. I think I was trying to be present with everything and do everything to where it just kind of went overboard. And like I've gotten to a place where I'm just like super happy with just being by myself and ignoring everybody and doing what I want. And I'm actually achieving a lot more in that aspect, which is fantastic. And I'm getting to the point where I just feel like I don't, because I think I was at a point where I just thought I always needed somebody. And now I'm at that point where I'm like, I don't need anybody. Kind of awesome. So I can figure it out for myself. Because like at the beginning, like definitely I think I relied on like relationships, going out, doing this, and like I completely changed and took that out of my whole like life, and like I'm just doing things for me, and it's been super rewarding. And like I don't care if I don't respond to a dude. Like if you didn't text me, you don't hang out. I don't care. I don't want to. I will when I do. So now, yeah, and it's just being there for myself. I think I needed that a lot, and I think I was missing that for a very long time. So I love that.
Love that for you. And I feel like a lot of people too, like saying like, oh, I'm taking time for me, like just like with you, Michelle, as well. Like I'm taking time for me, or I'm doing this for me, or like I'm not in the right place like mentally for me to want to do something with you. Saying like being selfish is such a negative term, but I feel like it also doesn't have to be, because sometimes like you have to just say like no sometimes.
Yeah, for your own mental stability and for your own like mindset, like you need it. Because
Yeah.
it's not like if I had to like, because I think what I wanted, I love to make people happy and like just be there for everybody and like be present. It's just like I'm not focusing on myself and what I need to do, and therefore I'm just a little ball of anxiety,
Yeah.
which is not needed. Like I've been taking my anxiety meds a lot less now, which is freaking amazing.
Yeah. we all clap but try to not get it in the mic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just like, but no, it's just like it's like it sounds selfish, but really like it shouldn't be taken that way. It should just be like you're like if I can't be happy with myself, how am I gonna be able to make you happy? Like it's just not gonna
That's
go.
that's so important too. And like we've already recorded it, but we haven't released it yet. But the episode we did with my stepdad, Mark, who's a shrink,
Mm-hmm.
um, a lot of the things he was saying kept coming back to like being needy. So I'm super excited to like edit and get this episode out, because I feel like it's really important, like literally for that reason, where you do kind of need to figure yourself out. And even though like we're always constantly growing and like figuring ourselves out as we go along, like to still be able to stay in tune with that, I think is really important.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, cheesy, but here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
So bouncing back to some of the responses that we got, one that I thought was really interesting and also relevant was, I'm not disciplined enough to be a really great employee working from home.
Mm,
And I relate to this so much. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people can relate to so much. And I'm not like 100% sure I didn't see like who shared this, but same. Like for me, this year was really challenging because I transitioned from a marketing to a sales role. And in the marketing role at my company, like I have a project management tool that tells me everything I need to do that day, that week, that month. I have a calendar. I can use those two things and like really, really like stay on top of my shit. Sales is a completely different space. It's a completely different game. And to be honest, I like really, really struggled and also with like working from home, right? So it's like I really struggled with the first, I would say like March through October, even for me. And then kind of had to give myself like a kick in the ass, and also had like support and some changes and transitions and things like that. It's really fucking hard to work from home. And I would say, like, especially if you're someone who's gets your energy or is more extroverted, like likes to be around people, if you can, depending on where you are, of course, like even taking 2 hours to work from a coffee shop, even if you get 25% less done or 50% less done, just getting yourself out of the space, getting yourself out of the house, even like working on your deck, or I don't know. I guess I'm trying to like think of ways people can like work outside the home if they can't like go places, but just working in your kitchen instead of your living room, or your bedroom instead of your office, or whatever. Just a little bit of those like a few changes can help, but it's really fucking hard. And I also think that like everyone needs to give themselves some grace. Like if you're doing what you can do, and sometimes that includes like taking an anxiety nap in the middle of the day, like I mean, sometimes that's what it is, that might mean that you're like writing a contract at 9 o'clock at night, but like we can literally only take things with this like time in our lives with, an hour or a day or a project at a time.
Well, totally. And I mean, that's also something that we've really, not everybody had the, I guess, benefit of learning these things about themselves prior to the pandemic, because like before it was like you go to an office, you go
Right.
to your job.
Right.
We didn't like I'm grateful like I've had at other companies the ability to like learn how to work from home.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like I love working from home, but like at the same time I'm with you, sometimes I'm like, okay, all right, I'm starting to get a little in my own head. I need to leave. I need to be outside. I need to go somewhere and like take my laptop with me. And I think some people, because they feel like they're forced to stay in their home office, it's making them feel even more trapped. So like even just finding like something small to make you feel like you're like somewhere else.
Yeah, I haven't worked from home at all. Been lucky for that, but also that means I wasn't working for a long period of time. So there's that. But I have had people who are working from home. They're just like, home was my grace period. Like I go to work, I come home, and it was like where I came to like relax. They're like, no, I don't feel that. So I know a couple of people that got like their own personal hotspots, like with their phone, so they could take their laptop to a park, be their own personal hotspot, and get work done there. Obviously, they'd have to get like one of those portable chargers and things like that so they could get things done. But for them, that's what helped them to get out of it, because they were actually going and like, I'm speaking of someone specific. If you see this, love you. But they were going through like some serious depression moments because they never left the house, and they're just like, I can't be cooped up here. This was where I came when I was out there and things freaked me out. And this was like my safe haven. And now I'm just here all the time. And that stuff is following me home, and it's in my home. I need to escape. And so like even just trying to change like where you're at location wise to even prevent that, it's just would be great for people, like hotspots, things like that. And a lot of places have like free Wi-Fi that you don't even expect. Like even the library we went to smelled like feet, but
Yeah.
horrible library experience.
I mean, well, and there's something like there's a reason that psychologists pretty much unanimously agree, like don't work from your literal bed because it's going to affect your sleeping, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, it makes sense that like people are now having these issues because they wanted to go somewhere, like they left their work wherever the office was and they come home and they turn off. And so I get that, and that's like the reason too, like I made like my own little office here. A lot of people have, but I like the notion too of like getting like a hot spot on your phone. That way you can literally go wherever you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we can, and that's kind of awesome too.
Mm-hmm. Like, and then I was like seeing a lot of stuff, like things about it, like the odds of people going back to work soon is like gonna be slim. I mean, they're saving a lot of money on like real estate right now, also.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was my first thought.
Unless they're in contract. If they're in contract, yeah, then it's like different. But the ones that aren't, they're just like, we're saving money right now. So it's like, and the ones that are in contract, they've actually gone back to get places reduced. So
Mhm.
it's like but it's like just going out. Like I would love to work at Zilker with
Yeah.
with me all day with little charger by my head, like my whole little setup, and be like, well, oh sorry, random dog. All the
Well, I love
doggies.
my like work from brewery, like WFB. That's one of my favorite things. But it does get a little frustrating sometimes, Michelle. Like you and I were talking about this the other day, is because then sometimes you feel like you need to constantly be wired in. Like when I was taking time off because I was like going home with my family and stuff, it was like I'd still pop in for meetings if they came up. And that's still kind of an added anxiety, even though you're like technically on PTO, right? So I think that also being able to set a boundary and say like, all right, like I am taking PTO, I am out of the office, I'm not responding to emails. Do not call me unless you are literally on fire.
It's a fire that only I can put out.
Yeah, yeah, and like you can't call 911.
I do kind of want to take a little step back with this though. So for each of us on the call, I don't know, because it's a Zoom call, right?
Whatever.
On the episode. What is one thing you've learned about yourself in 2020 in relation to dating and relationships? So specific to that. So you're both, oh my God, if y'all can't, well, I don't think the video is recording everyone at once. They're both making faces. I'm just saying. I get it. I think it's a lot and it's a big question. I think everyone on this episode has like gone through some pretty serious and like big changes in terms of dating and relationships in 2020. So I'll let you both think for a second.
I
Oh,
don't think I've gone through changes. I think I'm figuring it out. So I technically, before David, sorry, I hadn't really been, I was only single for like a month when I met him. And then before that, I was dating someone for 5 years. I haven't really been single for a while, like where I was actually single, single. So this whole thing is, you guys can hear me, right? Okay, yeah, this whole thing is just like completely new to me. Um, and I don't think I've just learned that I don't think anything's changed me. I've just learned to not give it all to so like not and when I say give it all, I don't mean sex. Like that's no. I mean like I shouldn't be cooking them dinner after the first date, which I've done a couple of times already. Like I'm just cooking them dinner and I'm cooking them breakfast. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, I'll cook for you. Because I was used to just cooking all the time and doing things and I pick up after them. And the thing is, this isn't my boyfriend. I'm not in a relationship with this person. So for me, I'm having to adjust to being single and being like, oh no, take care of your own shit. And so for me, it's just me really learning how to be single because I don't know how to be single. And so I'm learning how to just be like, oh wait, and like, oh well no, I'll take that. Like, no, I don't have to take that. No, I don't have to cook for you. No, I don't have to do this. And it's like weird, but it's kind of cool at the same time. So for me, it's not really learning like me trying to get in a relationship. It's me more learning about how to be single because I have been single technically for so long. And so it's interesting in that aspect because I'm just like, oh wait, I don't have to do that for you. And I don't have to do this.
Like you're responsible for yourself
Yeah.
now.
And it's like, yeah, that's what I said. Like when it comes to like I have to love myself, do this, like it's just that goes with loving myself because it's like, oh wait, I don't owe you anything. I don't know you like that. And I don't have to respond to your text if I don't want to. And it's just like an adjustment for me. And so, yeah, that's what
But
I've
it
had to learn.
sounds like a good adjustment.
It's a good adjustment.
I mean, going back to our MVP favorite, our MFP most favorite podcaster, Jared Freed. Like one thing he says is don't do girlfriend shit for someone who's not your boyfriend, or don't do like like boyfriend shit for someone who's not your girlfriend. And I think that's such an interesting concept because
Mhm.
when you get out of a long-term relationship, you're just so used to like, oh, this is what I do if I like someone, or this is what I do if I'm like, if someone is even like in the vicinity of like this type of role. and getting an understanding of like where to pull back on that. And it's not don't do stuff for people that you like, but it's like, no, you
Not
should
right
be
away.
cooking them meals and cleaning up and all of that, because they're essentially like gonna get this, that's gonna be like the norm. And so it's like,
Yeah.
again, this is like kind of like sub quoting or like paraphrasing from like the things Jared Fried says, but it's more so like, it's like if they're already getting 85% of what they would without the commitment or without this, and it goes both ways. Again, this is not just guys. It's like, why take it a step further, or why give you what you need, or why have that kind of like forth.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've had to learn through all this. And it's like, because I was used to just doing that every day, doing things like this, like it's a routine. And then like being like, oh wait, I don't really know you. Why am I washing your underwear?
Ew.
That didn't actually happen. That's just like an example. But it's
It
just
sounds realistic.
sounds realistic. No, but I literally cooked them breakfast one day and I was like, why am I cooking you food? Why am I cleaning up your apartment? Like I make like you cook dinner. Why am I washing your dishes? Like you just like I don't like
You were like,
it's just
you were like waking up out of like relationship Gieselle mode. You're like you're like in the kitchen cleaning though. It's like not a weird. You're just
like
like
a
"Why
robot.
how did I get here?"
and they're like, yeah.
Well, and it's like, it's one thing too. Like, I mean, I know, and you too, Gieselle, like we both like to cook. And
I
so for
love
me,
to cook.
yeah. And like for me, that's a way that I do, like, it's like a love language, right? Um, and so like it's something that we can do and like have fun. But there's a difference between like when you're doing like you have them over to your place, you cook a little meal, you eat the meal, they leave or whatever, versus like you go over to their place, you cook everything, you clean everything like at their place. Like it just seems so different.
It does.
On that note, so we were talking about what you've learned about yourself in terms of like dating, relationships. Marie, what is something you learned in 2020 that you want to take into the next year?
I mean, I feel like it is very aligned with a lot of what we've been saying here in terms of like kind of keeping in touch with myself. I have to constantly keep reminding myself that my gut is always 100% right. I'm trying to think of a time where I was like, oh yeah, no, that guy is X, Y, and Z, and I've gone through like whatever, and then gone back and been like, oh no, he actually wasn't what I thought he was. No, every time I think a boy is a fuck boy, he's a fuck boy.
No, you've been right 100% of the time.
Totally. and, and then too, like when you start to feel kind of like self-conscious in a situationship, that my gut's also right there. And like if I feel like it's time to pull out, for lack of a better way to put it, it usually is for both people probably. And that's okay too. Like that, like at the end of the day, like I'm here and I know what I bring to the table. And it's okay to just kind of be myself and know what I need in a relationship and unapologetically be here for it. And if you're not going to like be okay with the way that I am and what I need, then it's just not going to be a match. That's it. Yeah. Period. Done. End of story.
100%. And I totally agree. Like, if you're not going to be here for me and like what I believe in, where I'm trying to go, and you can't help me support myself, then I'm definitely not going to want to build a future with you, because you're going to have to be able to be okay with what I want, where I'm going. We have to have similar values, because other than that, we're not going to be able to. Then there's going to be a lot of conflict. And like, let's be honest, there's too much of that already. And that's not something I want in my life.
Yeah, and like everybody wants something different in a relationship. Everybody's looking for something different. And so saying no to the people that like in your gut aren't compatible, I think is like really valuable. And like for me, like funny example, I have a dating podcast. And if you have a problem with the fact that I have a dating podcast and I'm going to sit here and drink and talk shit with my friends about some of the guys that I've been on dates with or whatever before you, if I'm like in a long-term relationship, well, then like this probably isn't going to work out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So here we are.
So here we are. Exactly.
Swipe in the city 2021.
I feel like for myself, I mean, I have like a bunch of notes on, like, not notes, but like with everything you just said, I'm like, oh, like this situation, this, like, my brain's going everywhere. But when I look at like some things that I've learned about dating, because like I guess I dated in Portland before I moved, but then honestly, before we started the podcast, I was just kind of like trying to just figure out like where the ground was for me as a human and like socially in Austin.
Yeah.
I love how you're like raising the bottle. Like, do you want some? Like,
It was just kind of where it moved. Anyways.
But I will say one of the things I've learned over the last few months, being a little bit more active on dating apps and more active, was just that like one of the things that for me is that like I've said this before, like I can have a beer with anybody. And so with going on these dates, like these like specifically online dates, but even just like, oh, I met someone at whatever, wherever, and like, oh, let's grab a beer. So with that situation, what I've found like numerous times over the last, let's say, year, is that I take like hanging out with them, just like, oh, like we can hang out, whatever. But either A, they have like different expectations, or B, like it, if you are meeting someone off of Hinge and your expectation is that you're going on like a date for a romantic interest, that's fair. That's 100% valid. You're on a dating app. And I just found myself kind of like friends and be like, oh, but in my head, I like had to learn to like verbalize that. And even sometimes it felt a little bit premature, but after having multiple scenarios, I was like, oh, well, I don't have a lot of friends in Austin at this point. Like, I'd get a beer with him again. I'd get a beer with him again. So then I just like, I'm basically just curating all these friends, but these are all people who think they're going on dates, right? When we hang out again.
Yeah.
And so I feel like one of the big things for me was one, like learning how to be like really clear and direct, even if that meant that the person didn't want to hang out again or they didn't respond or whatever. That became very important for me. Over the last, let's call it 2 months, month and a half, I'm kind of learning how to like be a little bit more vulnerable with dating, which is really hard for me after getting out of a very serious, almost 6-year relationship. I really haven't opened up to guys in any kind of like meaningful way. And so I'm learning how to do that, but it's kind of like what you were saying, Gieselle, like just it's not necessarily like learning how to date or this or that, but it's just like relearning like how to just communicate your needs or emotions
and what you want. Exactly.
But for me, it's actually very challenging. I'm very direct when it comes to most things, but when it comes to actually opening up, it's very hard for me. As I get awkward now, I'm like, I said too much.
See, and so then that's also like a thing that I have problems with as well. It's like I don't really know how to be direct to people or like share my emotions at all. And I tend to not do it. I tend to like avoid that conversation as much as possible. And I just kind of like walk away if I'm feeling a certain way. And it's just that also caused some problems when it comes to like me like trying to build relationships with people. And so that I get you where you're coming from when it comes to that, because I cannot do that at all. I don't think if it's a pride thing or something. I don't want to look weak, but I also just don't know how to express my emotions. And no offense to my past relationships, but they didn't know how to bring it out of me as well. And like I was never able in that place to where I could feel vulnerable, to where I felt comfortable, or I feel like, hey, this is how I feel. I was always very uncomfortable, and I get anxiety attacks, and I go through like frequent like weirdo like scenarios. So it's like I completely get it because I still can't do it.
Well, I think that's a really good point, right? Like the right person is going to bring those things out of you.
Yeah,
Or
for sure, the right person.
at least that's what we tell ourselves.
Hopefully, the
But
right person. Well, I mean, I know we
That's
tell
what
ourselves that. Hopefully, we have someone that does. I mean,
well, yeah, and it's like, but we see that with friends, right? Like it takes a while because I think we're all kind of in the same boat. Like it takes me a while too to open up to people, even when you're talking about like a platonic friendship type situation.
mm-hmm.
But the more you like, obviously, the more you open up, the more you build that trust, and you see it kind of everything fall into play. But you also find the right friendships that are going to be the people that like push you and like are going to be there for you and aren't going to judge you for like what you've done. Um, and especially because of just, I mean, in my opinion here, like there's a lot of options with dating, and like finding like the person, and you're just looking for that one person. And so I feel like a lot of people just keep everything so surface. And so that makes it even harder when you're trying to get to that point. You need to find somebody that's going to want to see that in you and that you're going to want to see that in them too. Oh God, I'm cheesy today. I hate myself.
well,
No, it's fine. You can be choosy.
Can you tell I've been playing with a bullet journal and like sniffing sage all day?
Okay, so I want a bullet journal. I want to order one. Like, I need to get one of those.
I
want
make
one.
my own.
I was gonna say, don't you just make it?
Yeah, I write it. You
Well,
can buy them, but
you
I
can
make
buy the
mine.
bullet journal. Like, I would love a bullet journal. Like, I'm not as creative to make my own. Like, I need to have one that's like pre-made for me, and then I can just like fill everything out. But or I'm also okay. It's not that I don't like them. I just procrastinate a lot, and then I don't get things done. And so that's when having it already done will come in handy.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's been such a fucking crazy year that I feel like we've all had to learn to like date in different ways, right? We've all had to learn to date in like different ways in different places. Like I know Marie, you did a lot more more like virtual dating.
Yep.
Then I just didn't date for a while. And yeah, but I mean, again, we have some other good news that was shared by our followers, but what were just like just some other good things that came out of 2020, whether dating related or not, just like other just things that honestly, like, let's brag for a minute. Let's just talk about stuff we're stoked about because it's so important.
Okay.
It's like I know
So we're
some
gonna.
people, huh?
Oh no, continue.
I was gonna say, like, let's do this. Let's go around. Let's do like each of us do something positive about like about like dating, relationships, whatever, anything in that realm. And then let's just do something positive outside of that. Is that cool?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
Marie,
go last.
in my little view, it's Marie, myself, and then you. So we'll
Okay.
go in that order.
So positive things from the year and then positive things for dating.
Sure.
Positive things in the year, positive for dating. Okay.
Well, of course, my positive thing for the year is that we started a fucking podcast. Avi. Duh. No, honestly though, and like I think it's funny for me too because it's like I like the Swipe in the City was a blog that I started literally to commiserate, right? And it's like so exciting to me that I found somebody that I feel like shares the same like mindset and the same goals, and like it's like a shared vision that I feel like we can actually do something here. And we have done things which has been pretty fucking cool. Like we had an event, we have partners, like we do fun things, and since we started, we've only skipped like 3 weeks total for the entire like since June or whatever. I think that's a huge accomplishment. And like, it's kind of a hobby, but it could go somewhere. It's like an italicized hobby.
It's like an expensive hobby.
It's an expensive hobby. But I will say, like, most hobbies, if you have like a good hobby, they're not cheap. Like crafting is a hobby.
Oh yeah.
And crafting is not cheap.
Scrapbooking's a hobby, and if you do scrapbooking right, it's not cheap. Trust me, I did it.
It's so
I would
expensive.
spend thousands of dollars on scrapbooking material, and then you know what happened to that scrapbook?
Goes
David
in the
kept
corner.
it. No, David wanted it. He kept it. After we broke up, I'm gonna burn it. And he's like, no, why would you burn it? I want it. I'm like, okay, then you can keep my scrapbook that I made of me and you. It's super weird. I was gonna burn it, but you can keep it. Go on with your bad self.
I guess.
Right? Why would you want to keep a scrapbook of your ex?
Memories. I don't know. I mean, my mom's we were looking
Oh
through
my
scrapbooks the other day. Not to go down a rabbit hole, but like I was looking through my mom's scrapbooks when I was at home, and like so she's got all the shit with her ex-husband. And then I got like really, I saw a photo of her and my dad from Valentine's Day. And there was one photo where they were literally holding hands, like fully distant, like full extension of the arm. And then the other photo from Valentine's Day, they were like, quote, kissing each other, but they literally were not touching lips. Like there was a good foot between their mouths. And I was like, okay, I was old enough that like if I'd seen this, it wouldn't have fucking blown my mind. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I saw it and I looked at my mom and I was like, so this is why I have a problem with PDA. Because I never saw you and dad do anything.
That's not something. Oh God, that's like going
say, yeah, there's like a whole other like psychology around, or not even psychology, but around like how people are in photos. Honestly, like I want to pocket that for a future episode.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Because like, yeah, there are episodes, because my mom was like, there was this whole situation when they were like, long story short, she had a bunch of like wedding photos of her and my dad, like in our home where we lived with my stepdad. And it was this whole thing. She's like, you need to take these. And I'm like, they're these like giant frames. And I'm like, what the fuck do I do with this?
Well, because like you don't want to get rid of it, but like at the same time, like you don't want to keep it. And so like I kind of understand, it's like my mom's got all these scrapbooks, and granted, like she had the kids intertwined, to go back to Giselle's point, like the kids were intertwined in these scrapbooks. But like at the same time, like this is your ex.
Exactly.
But what else do you do? Like they're memories.
Yeah.
We have them too.
No, he legit like asked me, like, can you not get rid of this photos? And just been like, why? Like, no, I'm gonna burn. Like, I don't know if you. So, I have a video of me burning all of our photos in a bonfire. Kind of awesome. But like, he like begged me to keep the photos, and I was like, well, why do you want photos of me and you? Like, you never posted photos when we were together ever. You had 0 photos in your profile. Now all this. No, we're not. That's a different story for a different time.
It's funny how things change, huh?
I know. I mean, it's a crazy year. Cheers to that.
It's been a year. Okay, so Gieselle, we're going with positives. So what's a positive thing you learned about yourself and dating in 2020?
I feel like you already answered that.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, I think we just like got like warped up into like the whole conversation that we just randomly wrapped around back to this.
I feel like there was something else I was thinking about.
I said like the love yourself and like the like. Okay, wait, I have to wait. I have notes.
Perfect.
I love that you're taking notes.
Learning how to be clear and direct was that was you. No, wait, this is not it. Is this?
No, what am I think I was asking.
I was doing the whole love myself thing, and I kind of explained on that. I'm like, why it's important to love yourself, and like also not being selfish to people that you randomly date. Just being very honest with them.
Yeah,
that was my whole thing. Because I think I'm just been going through like a whole period of just wanting to love myself.
You know what? Fuck it. What are each of you looking forward to in 2021?
looking forward to in 2021. Marie, can you lead?
What am I looking? I mean, I'm honestly just looking forward to like something different. Um, it's kind of silly. Like I dated one guy for a while, and he would say Happy New Year in replace of like your birthday. So your birthday started the new year, which like actually kind of makes sense if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I'm still with everybody else, and I feel like January 1st, 2021 is just a clean slate. And so I'm excited. Like I'm looking forward to more of like all the bullshit that we have going on for the podcast and Swipe in the City. Um, I don't want to get into what I'm hoping for politically and COVID wise, because that's not where we're at here. But I just want to be like to a point where like the COVID anxiety for me is like gone, or at least minimal, and I can just hang out with people and not have to worry about, getting sick. Like I want to not have to fucking worry too much about that. It's a very low goal right now.
It's a very low. I feel like next year, just like for everybody, like this year's been like so fucking horrible, and it's just gonna be like the bar is low for everybody. So don't say it's a low bar. Like it's literally low for everybody.
There was a meme I saw today about that. It was like 2021, like you literally don't have to do anything. Just be better than 2020.
Just be better than 2020. We should get this printed on t-shirts and put Swipe in the City on the back and be like, just be better than 2020.
Just be better.
Not even
Just be
that.
better.
Just show up. Like 2021, just show up. That's probably enough. Like there's no way. Although I saw a different meme that was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be the year. It looks like 10 years from now. It's like you're gonna pull a mask out of the pocket of an old jacket and be like, oh, this mask, what a silly year, as you pull out your machete to fight like the trash ants or something.
The apocalyptic meme. What about you guys?
I'm gonna say, yeah. What's something you're looking forward to, Gieselle?
Looking forward to. Let's see. I don't know. I don't think. I know I'm looking forward to a lot of things. I think I'm just kind of scatterbrained right now with everything that's going on. The fact that I am like working, doing things that I like right now, and like in a position to where I'm not. Well, now in a position to where I'm not going to be having anxiety attacks every day. That's what I'm looking forward
huge.
to. Like,
that's
huge. Like the stability, like things like that. Like I don't want to have to worry about what's gonna happen with this. Like being able to know, like, hey, I have this. I'm doing this. I'm still in school, and I'm still succeeding in school. That's definitely something I'm looking forward to, because definitely for a while there, when I lost the things, it was just like it wasn't that long. But like I know, I make it seem like it took forever. It wasn't, but still, it's like stress is stress, and like I have serious anxiety problems, and being able to put those aside and like just being happy and not being able to have to take my meds and just be a normal person in life and just actually, I don't mean to go back to this, but be happy with myself. Like
huge.
I feel like that's gonna be, because I actually, like, when I became single, like everyone was like, I wish you would just be single, like you need to find yourself, and I didn't understand what they meant by that when that happened. But I think I can finally like say that I understand what they meant by that, because I know what I want to be happy and how I am, and it's just, I know I can do well with myself, and I know I'm a strong person. Yeah, and I know I'm a strong person, and like I've never been so motivated, like for myself, in any other year that I've been an adult, and it's like amazing. So.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
I love that. Hell yeah. Let's drink to that.
Here's to that. I cannot fucking wait to see 2021, Gieselle. Let's fucking go.
Yes.
Don't forget us when you're famous.
By the way, 2021 Gieselle lost 20 pounds.
Wait, 2020 or 2021?
No, well, 2020, but it's going to 2021. I lost 20 pounds.
Let's fucking go.
I don't know where, but I did, and my body looked a lot tighter and muscular in places. But yeah,
It's true.
cheers to
You do
that
look
again.
great.
Oh,
Hell
maybe.
yeah.
As long as you're doing it
Yes.
healthy and you're being strong as fuck, I'm here for it.
I love
Oh
it.
yes, all healthy.
I know I see you in the gym. Well, not
6 days
literally.
a
I just
week.
see your Instagram story.
I'm in the gym literally 6 days a week. That is my life. Well, I mean, I'm in like a new city. I don't know anybody here, so it's like, what am I gonna do? Target, gym, home. Target, gym, home. Target, gym, home. It's a
Honestly,
never-ending
Target
cycle.
sounds like the most unhealthy part of that whole thing.
Well, it's like I'm at home in Target, and then like I need some escape, and instead of going to the bar, I go to Target, and then I'm like, oh, do I need this fluffy pillow? Maybe.
I
Now I
probably
have
do.
12 pillows I sleep with.
So
Who needs a man?
Who needs
y'all,
a man when you have 12 pillows?
y'all
You're right,
have
Maria.
probably never heard of a Fred Meyer, but from my like Northwest peeps, they'll know. So Fred Meyer is just like
Fred
a
Meyer.
special. It's like the Publix of the Northwest. Like it's just a special
Mm.
grocery store.
Mhm.
But I like for a while would like consider going to Fred Meyer like an activity. I'd be like, I'm going to Fred Meyer. And then I would just troll the aisles for like an hour and a half. And it's like,
Dude, that's
and this is when I was in like a serious relationship and I like wasn't really doing a lot. Like we would go out here and there, but I would just go patrol the aisles. I'd go roll around Fred Meyer. I'd go sit on there. I was like an 80-year-old man. I'd go sit on the couches. I would like go like, sniff candles. I would like take clothes off the rack and look at them and put them back on because they weren't like good clothes. This is my confession.
Yeah, I feel like that Michelle might have needed some help. I'm glad that you're here now and that we have you.
No, that Michelle needed to come to Austin and figure out who she was. And honestly, like,
And here we are.
I don't think I'm 100% there yet, but this has been a really, really big and defining year for me. Honestly, like 2020. And there have been, like, for me, up until the last 2 weeks, it's just, I've just been really fortunate and I've had a lot of like positive things and just like things that I've been able to experience and do. And I mean, like I've met you both this year, right? Like Lennox Party, that was this year. Like starting this podcast, that was this year. Transitioning into sales, that like there's so much that it feels like it's been like a lifetime, but it was all in 2020. That it's fucking crazy to me. And so I just feel like 2021, we're gonna figure out what the world looks like. We're gonna deal with it. If that means we have more restrictions, less restrictions, like we're just, in my opinion, like I'm gonna do what is best and makes the most sense and not be like, oh God, it's such a hard thing to put a fucking cloth mask on my face. Like I'm just frustrated with the people that are like, oh, this is like, anyways.
It's a violation of my rights.
Is it, I have them in like 8 different colors. Is it that hard? Like, yeah, you know what? My skin's breaking out a little bit. Is it
Then
that
take
hard?
care
Come on.
I mean, how much different isn't than putting on a shirt? Like, it's
No,
not
it's
that
not.
much
Like
different.
honestly, it just shows you how unhygienic people are. But it'll be
You're
fine.
also supposed to wash the mask. That's the bubbles talking. But you're supposed to wash the mask.
Sorry, I got like some cookies and stuff.
I love it. Do we have, let's just like jump right back in. What's like literally the best thing? Because like I kind of said, swipe in the city. Is there any like one thing that stands out as just being like the absolute best thing that happened this year?
I would say for me, like, it's crazy because pre-swipe in the city, but despite the pandemic, like I had moved to Austin essentially 2 months before things like shut down. And then only like when I moved here, I had I knew 2 people here. Like, literally, I knew 2 people. Like, the people who I was, like, really good friends with had moved for very good reasons, but, like, um so I had, like, kind of a weird first couple of months here because I'm a very social person. I have, honestly, like, just a lot of really close friends in Portland and a lot of close friend groups. I have my family. Um, but the everything that happened had caused me to essentially, like, create and foster relationships in new ways. And one of those, which we really haven't talked about too much on this, but was like through creating a community in our apartment building. Marie and I live in the same building. Um, but like I was able to make so many friends through that I may not have made if the circumstances were different. And that is something as I'm like super thankful for. And I've also had a couple people mention to me like, hey, like I didn't know anyone in this building because you kind of like started this, whatever we want to call it, movement, whatever. So I don't
Yeah.
The
movement, but
Lennox
like
Party movement.
well, like because you started this, like I actually know I've met people in the building. I've made friends. There are a couple of people who like met through that whole situation that are now like really good friends. And so besides like the podcast, I think that was probably like one of the most impactful things of 2020 was like despite everything that was going on, connecting with some people and being able to create that was like the foundation for me that I needed in Austin. And that like really just made me feel like at home in Austin, despite being 3,000 miles away from my family, 5,000 miles away from my mom, like that kind of stuff. So it's just like, and then with like dating, I think moving here and having a fresh start, like I was able to actually approach dating with like an open mind and a new mindset. And I do think that like I've grown a lot in the last like 6 months. And I don't know what that looks like going into 2021, but I feel like I've started to be more comfortable with being like open and vulnerable and things that I honestly haven't in the past couple of years. And I'm excited to see where that goes and how I'm able to like take that into like future relationships.
And just being more yourself. That's really what
Yeah.
matters. And that's amazing that you can do that. Like, that's awesome. That's a great feeling that you can do that when you can present yourself and just be yourself to people that and be vulnerable and like be able to date. Like, that's amazing.
Well, yeah, and like also with like all the Lennox stuff, like I can honestly say like I probably wouldn't have re-signed my lease if it weren't not just for you, but like for the community that like you've created here because I've lived in Austin for 6 years now and like I've never had this much like interaction, like knowing this many neighbors and like having a place where like I feel like I can actually like be friends with the people that live around me. So it's been really, I think that's a huge accomplishment for you too, especially as an extreme extrovert, as you like to call yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What about you,
But
Gieselle?
I think I've become more introvert.
Well,
nothing wrong with that.
not socially. Like, what would you say is like a really big, like, again, that was it, right? Like a big positive or a big accomplishment that you want to take out of to wrap this up?
Like I said, just like literally figuring out who I am. Like, I am very happy that I did because I think I was kind of on a very big spiral downward. And I know a lot of people can attest to that. And I think I kind of like just pulled myself back and it was like, what do you really want? And who do you want to be? And being able to pull myself back from that and like being able to be like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to be. For me to gain that success and what I want to do, I have to shut out this, and this, and better in this, and this. And I think I've done that. And unfortunately, it's ruined some of my relationships, but I feel like it hasn't ruined all of them because they understand that I need to go through this. I need to do this to go where I want to be. So That's where that. I mean, like people see me a lot less, but I'm studying
That's
like every.
okay.
Yeah, and it's okay, and it's like if it just also shows me like if you're not trying to keep up with me while I'm doing this, then you're not my true friend. If you're not reaching out to me while I'm doing it, even though like I don't like I'm not the one that ever reach out first. But if you're not reaching out to me to see like how school's going, this and that, like like there's only a few people who do that. Like you are one of them. And like things like that. Like it goes through like it just goes without saying. Like there are certain people that I talk to every day and they're just like there to check up on me and like see how I'm doing. Like, hey, you're doing good. Even if it's just like hi, like it's just I'm doing good. And I don't want to sound selfish, but I feel like I just want to do me. And I feel like that's where my focus needs to be. It doesn't need to be focused on men or boys or anything like that. It just needs to be focused on me. Like I still want to
Fuck
go on
yeah.
dates. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Power to the women. I got cold. Sorry.
Hey, girl power.
Cheers, bitches.
Girl
Let's
power.
go.
No, really though. And honestly, like seeing you, like the things that you've been doing over just the past few months too, Gieselle, like I think it's been exciting for me to like watch you go through all of that too.
Yeah, and it's like I'm doing a lot of things that promote like healthy living and doing this and like I can't have an unhealthy lifestyle, which by the way, when I mean that, like I don't know if you knew, like I drank a lot, did all this other. I can't do that anymore with the things that I'm doing in my life now. Can't do drugs at all with the things that I was doing now. Like not that I said I did them before, but every now and then they were kind of present. But it's just I'm holding myself more accountable and I'm doing things more for myself because I was never happy. And it took me a while to realize that. And I'm just now getting to a point where I'm happy with myself and I'm super happy with it. And I just want to succeed for myself.
Hell
And
yeah.
yeah. So, yay.
Well, and I'm a firm believer. I feel like you can't be happy like in a relationship if you're not happy with yourself. Like I feel like we've seen
Exactly.
that, like it's a quote, it's a meme, it's like it's a cliche for a
Everything.
reason. It's
Mhm.
everything because you do need to like have that feeling of like self-worth before you can
Mhm.
say like I'm with you. Like I think back to the relationships I had when I was younger and I didn't know fucking my ass from a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
And, and it's like I'm like I think about if I the way that I would have approached those relationships with the mindset that I now have. And it's so interesting because I'm like, yeah, I probably wouldn't have dated you as long as I did.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm looking back at things like now and it's like, there's a lot of things I definitely wouldn't have done that I did. And it's just, learning from your mistakes and your steps is like definitely something you listen to. Like if I could go back in 10, honestly, nope, I'm not gonna say what I'm gonna say because honestly, if I could go back in 10 years and tell me to change something, I wouldn't because it wouldn't make me the woman I am today. And I feel like I needed to go through that trauma to be like, oh, this is the person I am, and it made me who I am today, and I'm a strong woman. So I would honestly wouldn't change a thing. Not that
I
that
just
was a question. I just randomly brought that into play.
I will
no,
drink to that.
well, and I was gonna say, like, I just got like literal shivers with that because like mentally I've had that conversation with myself so many times from like, what if this first that? What if this first that? And then I go through like all of the different like you said, steps or stages in life, and I'm like, the reason I know this about myself is from this situation. The reason I know this about myself and have this hobby is this. And it's like, I mean, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there are probably a few nights we could all have not experienced, right? Let's be, let's be honest. But
Yeah.
really, when we look
Yeah.
at like dating relationships and some of those like quote unquote, like bad decisions, like those are the things that like shape us into who we are today and going into 2021.
Yeah.
Thank you to anyone who has listened or watched our, I don't want to
Shit
say
show.
our first episode of 2021, but our last recorded episode of 2020. Um,
Yes.
Yes.
Gieselle, thank you so much for coming. I love that we got to talk to you. I love that you were on. I also just want to like thank you for your authenticity. Like, I just like, I could tell there were a couple things that you like talked about today that you like, maybe, you opened up here and you were being authentic. And I think that is like one of the most fucking important things of our show. And so it's hard. Like it's really hard. And I'm just saying, like, I really want to call out, like, I appreciate that from you, and I respect that, and I'm thankful that you were able to kind of just chat with us like openly.
Of course. Like, I love you guys. You guys have always been amazing. I'll follow you guys forever. Like, I listen to you guys all the time. So obviously.
Just on repeat.
I feel comfortable with you. Just on repeat. No, other than repeat, no. Other than being like a couple of my best friends. No, of course I don't mind. I mean, obviously there are more stories that I would want to put out there, but for reasons we won't.
You'll be back.
Oh, yeah.
Next time
we'll be back. Guys, beware. I'm coming back.
Hopefully next time
to come.
We'll be in the studio because the sound quality is a little better. So hopefully in the next maybe like month or so we can all get on and talk about it.
And do a proper episode.
Pick a topic. Let me know. I got a bunch.
Oh yeah. No, I feel like I'm excited. I feel like you were like kind of perfect for this too. I'm excited for everything going on this year. And Gieselle, where can people find you?
You can find me at GIESELEC. That is my Snapchat, my Instagram, and my Twitter. So
can you
TikTok
one more time?
Oh, my TikTok. What is my TikTok? My Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter is at GIESELLEC. Oh, that's also my TikTok, by the way. I just checked.
Across the board.
For our young followers who probably don't exist.
Pretty amazing.
I think everyone's on TikTok besides me.
I have some pretty amazing TikToks.
I can attest to that. No, again, and like to echo what Michelle said, like I'm super excited that you got to pop on here with us. I know it was short notice.
No, I know.
Well, I know. And I know we've been talking about it forever. And I feel like I've also been kind of a perfectionist in trying to find the perfect episode for you. And I feel like this was like the perfect first episode for you. So I'm super excited. Hi, Mr. Bubbles. As he's over here in is that his Niners jersey?
Oh, yes, this is his Niners jersey.
He's wearing his 49ers jersey and he is ready to go.
They won this year, yes.
We will also be including photos of Mr. Bubbles with any promos that we do for this episode. And thank you to everybody still listening. Swipe in the City everywhere. YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter. Where the hell else are we? Are on Facebook. Apple we don't talk about it. We don't talk about the fact that we're on Facebook, but we do have a Facebook.
I also feel like everyone has checked out, but before they do, like since it is our like, it's our beginning of the year episode, so never mind. I was gonna do a wrap up of like our favorite unofficial sponsors, but we're gonna save that for our next one.
Let's do that next week.
Blue has his dismembered teddy bear on my lap, so here we are.
Oh, well.
Cheers.
If you start, yes, cheers.
Cheers, bitches.
Cheers.